It's time for the Skyhawks Coaches Corner, recorded live at the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to this week's Skyhawks Coaches Corner. I'm your host, Bob Bonner, joined in our inaugural show by Skyhawk golf coach Jim Foltz. And Coach, you put a wraps on your fall season. You know a little bit about your players now heading into the winter. Tell the folks how the fall went.
The fall went outstanding. With COVID going on, we had some difficult times getting tournaments. We had some difficult times getting practices scheduled. But I think because of Fort Lewis's leadership, because of the administration taking charge and causing us to wear masks and keeping us, all the coaches, in tune with what's going on with the COVID, we were able to pull off a somewhat successful season in that we got to look at a lot of players that were new on the teams, on both teams.
How long did it take players to adjust? Was it a pretty quick transition in the fall to masking, to developing the new habits? How quickly were your players able to embrace those so that you could focus on just golf?
Again, the leadership at the college pushed it. And so I think, in my perspective, both teams embraced it very quickly. And they knew, because there was only two sports that were able to compete, that if they didn't embrace it and they did not understand it, that there was a possibility we could be shut down. And we did not want that.
Now, who stood out this fall, Coach? We've got Darren Edwards and Brooke Sturtevant here. They'll be joining me in a little bit in the show. We know they've had strong fall performances. Tell us a little bit about their games this fall, how you saw them develop, and then some of the other players who really kind of stepped up and caught your eye early.
I will start with the ladies first. Brooke has always, since she's been a freshman coming from Albuquerque, has always been a strong contender. She was in the shadows last year with summer, and our season got cut short because of COVID, but she stood out as a freshman. And then this year, as COVID continued on and we were starting to mask up and we were starting to figure out a schedule that would work, where teams would actually come and participate, because families are concerned about their loved ones, their student athletes, their kids coming to tournaments, and how we were going to run them. So she stood out in the fact that she's one of my captains, and she led the team by having practices. She led the team by the lowest scoring averages. She led the team by making sure that all the ladies on the team did the right thing. And it's always one thing to say, hey, we're going to go out and practice, but it's another thing when nobody's looking and you're out there in practice and you're not wearing your mask or you're not doing the right thing, because one student get it on the team, the rest I have to quarantine them and our season's done. And because we have back-to-back weekends of tournaments, it's imperative that we get it done. And so with the leadership at Fort Lewis having the COVID virus testing ability, the minute we left, we were tested. The minute we got back, we were tested, and our results were back within 24 to 48 hours sometimes. So I'm extremely proud of that part. And it is a big deal with this COVID, because when you book tournaments, you book them a year in advance. And with this particular this virus going on, you don't know what's going to happen. And we've had a couple tournaments cancel on us because teams just don't want to take that chance. So we had a couple ladies stood out besides Brooke. I would say Molly Schwartz stood out, and she's from South Dakota. Her first tournament as individual was in Pueblo a couple weeks ago, and she did extremely well. Shot 80, 86, I believe, and that stood out amongst all the ladies. As far as the men, obviously Darren.
Well, I want to just jump in, Coach. Now, Molly's older sister, one of your co-captains.
Yes, sir.
As we talk about, boy, there's because of the virus and some of the different things, you lost another. You were supposed to have one more tournament this fall. We
yes,
did
sir.
End up losing it to weather, but golf's unpredictable because of that, and then the virus made it even more so. Somehow you have players, though, you said we had great results here as far as being able to play when we were scheduled to play, get in the tournaments we were able to get, led to some positive results for your players. But you know how without the tournament play, it's easy to go out and play a practice round and get better physically in golf, or easier. But I have a friend who's a pretty good stick who always likes to talk about that other game of golf, the one up here. And without tournaments, is that leadership, your captains, are they that much more important in helping to develop that aspect of the game for your younger players?
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, they're extremely important. And the reason why is because during the off season, and golf is the only sport that has 2 seasons. We have a fall season, which is our non-championship season. Then we have our spring season, which is our championship season. During the fall season, I'm only limited so much time with them per NCAA rules. So I leave it up to my captains to take the ladies and the men out and practice without me being there. I can look from afar, but I cannot give them any instruction. So if they're struggling with their putting or their chipping, I cannot go down there and help them, but for 8 hours. 8 hours in a whole week, which is not very long at all. It takes on an average 5 hours to play a round of golf. So our practice rounds, which we schedule, are very important, and I leave it up to my captains to run those practice rounds.
Okay, and they got the results. You were getting ready
Well,
to transfer over to the boys, and I'm sorry I cut you
No,
off.
no. The results, what I'm looking at is people mentally tough. In other words, you can start off not so good. In other words, you have a double bogey, or you have a bogey, or you go bogey, bogey, bogey. But mentally, you come back and bring the last part of your game into the fold, and you can pull the round through. Golf, there is no PhDs in golf. I will tell everyone that. You can learn it. One day you can shoot 68, the next day you come out and shoot 81. It happens. With these golfers at this level, they need to learn, and they are learning on their own how to get through that transition. When a round's starting to go bad, how do I get it back on track? The difference between us and pros is they know how to get it back on track. They are developing now. They're learning those skills. And so being mentally tough is keeping your head in the game and understand that it's one shot at a time, one hole at a time, one round at a time.
That was a bit of a trademark for your teams this fall, as a matter of fact. As a team, you got off to some rocky starts. Now, I know it's great to talk about improving those starts, but at the same time, do you feel pretty good going into the winter and the spring, knowing that your teams bounced back from those starts every opportunity they were given?
Well, in fairness to the teams, I didn't put the 5 best players out there every single tournament that we were allowed to play. I have a lot of new players. I wanted to look at them. And the only way you can look at them is to give them tournament experience. And when you give them tournament experience, they get the jitters, they get scared, and things don't always work out. Like I said, the fall season is my non-championship season. So I was able to look at all the new players on both sides, men and women, to assess what I have for the championship season, which is in spring. During that part, I'm allowed to work with them every single day as much as I want, giving them 1 day of rest.
We were looking for a transition to the boys, Coach, and you just brought it to me there, talking about getting an opportunity to look at some of the younger players. Now, we do have Darren here. We're going to talk to him. He's had a great fall. But you had a couple of freshmen on the boys' side who really sort of lit up a couple of courses this fall.
Yeah, they weren't so much. I have one freshman, Nicholas, that really lit it up. But I had a couple JUCO, which is junior college transfers. Sam and Kaylin, they both came on board having tournament experience and being able to go low. So I'll start with Darren first. Darren is just a gem of a player, not only on the field but off the field. He's professional. He cares about the team. I've been with him since he was a freshman. He understands my philosophy. He understands how I do business, and it's very structured. Golf has to be that way. At a D1 level, when you walk into your golf course, everything is laid out for you. Everything, from the minute you get up to the minute you go to bed. That's what we're trying to strive right here. And I hired an assistant coach by the name of Devin Schreiner, who has started to take that role on with the men. And the reason why I hired Devin was because of the fact he attended Fort Lewis College when they went to the NCAAs, the only time they've been to the Nationals. He understands that experience. He understands what we're trying to do. So he has helped the men mature that way. So getting back to Devin, he has worked his tail off all summer playing tournaments, getting ready for this year. It's his junior year, and I expect big things out of him. I got Blake Gusava, who is a senior, who's been with me since a freshman. I expect great things out of him, and he has played good. He's had a couple hiccups, like you said in the beginning. We have a trouble getting started, and that is the key. You can't win it the first round, but you can definitely lose it the first round. And we're trying to get over that hump, which has been part of Fort Lewis's problem since I've been assistant coach to now head coach.
Part of getting over that hump is obviously, in any sport, preparation, practice makes perfect. We've heard all the cliches over the years. What do golfers do in the wintertime to maintain that course? Or is it as simple as all sports need a break? Winter's a natural break for golf. So it's a great time for student athletes to focus on school and maybe step away a little bit. What do you tell your players?
I give them enough time during this off-season time, and I say off-season is our fall season, although we have tournaments, to keep their school work together. And they know my policy on that. If there's an academic issue, then you're an academic liability to me. I don't want you going to a tournament. I've had a couple student athletes, tell me that. So I deal with it as it comes up. But the biggest advice I give them is, you have to go out and do it on your own. I can't be with you when we spread to the four winds. I got people from South Dakota, I got people in Arizona, I got people in California, I got a kid in Washington, Nicholas. I mean, they have to take it upon themselves, if they want to get better, to put the practice time in and put the time in on the putting green, the chipping green, and the hitting balls. I cannot be with them. Now, they take that to heart, because if you notice, our men's squadron has gone ballistic. I mean, I was really looking forward to this tournament. Now, Amarillo got canceled because of weather. That's just the way it is. I think they're starting to turn heads. I've had other coaches come up to me and say, what are you feeding these guys? Water? What kind of water are you feeding them, you know? It's starting to turn for us.
Coach, and we've only got about a minute to go. Wrap it up by telling me why you love your job. Why do you keep coming back? Why is it important to you to develop the young student athletes? And why golf? Why golf's the game? Sell your sport a little bit.
Golf is a game of mental. You have to be mentally tough. In my prior background, you had to be mentally tough, not just one day, but every day, 7 days a week. I take this as a challenge. These student athletes mean the world to me. I mean, when I started assistant coaching, I just gravitated toward it. And it was me. And people know that. They know that about me, and my student athletes know that about me. They know I'm never going to give up on them. They know I'm not going to quit. They know I'm always going to be out there raising money. They know I'm always going to have practices when I can. They know I'm always going to book tournaments when I can. They know I'm going to give them the best accommodations, the best food, everything I can to make them the best student athletes that Fort Lewis can provide.
We're excited to see what that does in the spring, Coach. Thank Coach Jim Foltz for joining us here. We will go ahead and take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have Brooke Sturtevant alongside to hear how her fall went and what her plans for the spring are. Welcome back to the Skyhawks Coaches Corner. Bob Bonner, your host, alongside now Brooke Sturtevant, sophomore with the Fort Lewis College Skyhawks, who has had a pretty solid fall. Brooke, and you really had a solid freshman year coming into this program. You hit the ground running as a collegiate player. What do you think in your past allowed you to do that? You just sort of hit college and it looked like you were born to shoot up here.
Back in high school, like, a lot of players didn't take it seriously, but I knew that this is what I wanted to do. So I kind of just took that and just practiced and played in a bunch of tournaments before I came to college to make sure I was prepared to play at this collegiate level and to play with these girls who I know are, like, have been playing for more years than I have. So I just wanted to practice and just be the best that I can be. So
has that level of ownership made the game, honestly, has it made it more or less fun for you?
It's made it a lot more fun for me. I enjoy the game. I love the competitiveness. I love being out there every day just practicing.
Crunch time.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you heard me ask Coach about, the other game of golf,
Yeah.
the mental time. That's where I get blown off the course.
Mm-hmm.
It's the opposite for you, though. You enjoy those moments on a golf course.
I do. It does get frustrating at times, but I know that it is just a hole. It's a bad hole that I made it, but I can make it up on the next hole and the future holes to come. So it's just one of those things you just have to overcome as a player.
Okay, now that kind of ownership and attitude, obviously, they're leadership qualities, and Coach has rewarded you. This year, you're a co-captain alongside Sophie Schwartz.
Mm-hmm.
She's a senior, is only a sophomore. Having those leadership was that intimidating to you, or was that a responsibility you were pretty eager to go ahead and grab onto?
I was definitely a little nervous to come into the captain position, but I kind of just followed behind Sophie's lead and kind of just rolled with it, took responsibility and stuff like that, and I don't know, just trying to make the team better, trying to encourage these girls to love golf the way I love golf, and to play better so we can win some tournaments.
And you talked about your early career, how you developed yourself as a player. Has Sophie's example, is it meant quite a bit to you this year as far as having a role on a team and what that role needs to be and how to most effectively lead? Has she helped quite a bit?
She has. She shows me what it takes to be a leader, and so it just shows me how I need to become a better leader and just grow from her experiences. So.
Okay. And no pressure. You and her get to go out. Did you go shoot around before practices started and talk things over, or what did that look like? I guess when you found out you were going to be co-captains.
I kind of just we were just kind of texting back and forth. We like met and played together and stuff like that. We set practices together, and so we kind of just worked as a team, and it just all came together, and we agree on a bunch of things. So it just
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Made for a good fall.
It did.
Okay, let's take a couple of minutes. We've got a couple of minutes left. 1 minute left, they're telling me. So we're going to run through some rapid fire quick questions, okay? Fun, honest. Ideal tee time. Best time of day to tee off.
Probably 8 in the morning.
Not counting any of your current teammates, who would be your dream partner in a scramble?
Dream partner, probably Tiger Woods.
Okay. Okay. Tin cup reference. You can play around with only one club. What club are you taking?
7-iron.
Just like Tin Cup. Let's keep it with Tin Cup. A hole. Tell me about a hole anywhere. Back home, maybe it's up at Hillcrest, where you find yourself grabbing another ball out of the bag and trying the same shot over and over and over. Do you have a hole like that that's ever tore into you like that?
Yeah, there's a hole at Dalton,
Okay.
and I can't remember which hole it is, but it's a par 5, and every single time I try to shoot it in 2 with a driver and a 5-iron, and sometimes I have to take that extra ball just to try it again, just to see if I can make that shot. So.
Okay. And along those lines, maybe it came at this hole, the last question. Boy, I've had a lot of bad golf rounds. but there is one shot that I hit a long, long time ago that keeps me coming back. Do you have that shot that you remember when you're having a rough day? That, man, if I could just hit that shot again, it makes it all worth it. Do you have that shot you remember that made it all worth it?
Back in my senior year, I was playing like a decent round, not my best round, during state, and I was in a bunker once, and I had to make it up and down for par. I had to make it in for par, and I was in the bunker, chipped it in, and it made my day. And then I played better golf after that, because once you have that mental ability just to get that happy burst moment,
Right.
It makes your golf game a lot better. So
Nothing like a happy dance on the course.
yeah.
Even in the sand trap.
Even in the sand trap.
All right, thanks, Brooke, for
All right.
coming. It's been a joy speaking with you. Brooke Sturtevant, sophomore from the Fort Lewis College Skyhawks. Excuse me. We're going to go ahead and take another break, and when we come back, we'll have Darren Edwards from the men's team right after these.
We know that there are certain sports that are more at risk to have ankle injuries. And so for my athletes in those types of sports, I'm often recommending not only preventative fitness activities, but also stretching and maintenance exercises for proprioception, and even so far in some situations, preventative bracing or taping. And you're struggling with either a current injury or an injury from the past that's causing you to have pain and dysfunction, I highly encourage you to get over with Mercy Sports Medicine. The athletic trainers there are a great first line of contact for ankle injuries in general. And then also, if you need a consultation here at Mercy Orthopedics with me, they can help that happen seamlessly.
All right, welcome back to the Skyhawks Coaches Corner. Bob Bonner, your host, now joined by Darren Edwards, Jr. from the Fort Lewis College men's team. And Darren, you really did light it up this fall. A consistent threat to finish in the top 10, a career best tied for second place, 6 under par at the Lone Star RMAX shootout earlier this fall. What his coach was talking about, what are the Fort Lewis College players drinking? What did you play this summer? What did you do this summer to catapult yourself into that top 10 consideration, to be someone that people have got their eye on the course?
Oh, I appreciate that, Bob. The biggest thing I did this summer was just compete. I've competed in golf for a long time, but just continuing to play in tournaments. I played in a variety of professional tournaments this summer that I got to play against some competition and some players that I hadn't seen before, and that kind of, it's kind of cliche, but you play with better players and you get better. So I played against, some pretty good professionals this summer and got to see how they played, and big mental boost for me was just, watching them and understanding that I can play like them if I want to, and if I continue to get better. And it all comes down to, the hours spent at the course, working hard and practicing, and, a lot of good support around me as well. But
So practice rounds really don't get it done. You got to compete. We heard that from Brooke. I mean, is that what I'm hearing from you? Is that you've got to, as a golfer, you've got to measure yourself if you want to play at the level that we saw you play at this spring?
Well, I think it's a good mix. I think you need to compete and you need to prove it to yourself. You belong, but it also, you can't just go out there and compete without practicing. It's just you're killing yourself by doing that. But here at Fort Lewis College, we have really great practice facilities at Hillcrest, Dalton, and we're very lucky to get the things that we do and the privileges that we do. So we obviously thank those golf courses, and along with Fort Lewis administration, Fort Lewis coaching staff, they put us in positions to work hard and get better. And once you work hard and put in the work, and then you go out there and compete, it's you get that balance, give and take. And luckily, it's worked out pretty good for me lately, and got to keep going.
You've showed the improvement as a player individually, and it's obvious with the scorecards you've turned in this fall. You and Blake, co-captains of the team this fall, obviously makes it a little easier to lead and set an example when you're posting good scores. But what else is the team part of this sport? I think a lot of people know how to golf. They can go out, they can play a scramble, but that team component of how you make other people around you better and be a leader. What goes into that part of your game and what you bring to the Skyhawks?
Well, I think that's what drives us all. Individual is great, but everyone on the men's team and women's team too, I know would rather see the team do better as a whole than individual, and I think that is a culture change and a good culture that we're building around a team. And Blake's a tremendous captain. and he does a good job of holding practices and working together as a team. And I think just team unity and having, focused goals and getting those blinders on once in a while to really know that as a team we all need to, be together and keep working hard. And one man can't, doesn't matter if one man plays well if the rest of them doesn't, but if the team can play well as a whole, that's really what we're going for.
Oh, you talk about togetherness. We're being discouraged from being together at this time right now. You're heading into winter. Golf is one of those fortunate sports that, okay, social distancing, not a big problem. We can keep 6 feet apart and whatnot on the golf course. Going into winter, you had some new guys, whether they be JUCO transfers or freshmen, shoot some nice rounds this fall. How are you going to keep that bond going into the winter when you maybe can't keep it on the course? How are you guys going to stay tight?
Yeah, well, just first of all, I touched on the new players. We've had a tremendous class come in, both junior college players. We got Sam and Kellen, and both Nicholas and Jacob have contributed in a big way for us. So we're excited, but we're going to stay together. We'll be talking. We stay in touch. I know some of us are going to be competing this winter in some non-collegiate events, and so we'll be keeping up in each other's games. And obviously, we all love each other as a family, but we all want to beat each other every day. So I don't anticipate anybody going this winter not working hard and continuing to stay strong, because the next spring it's a whole new ball game, and we're all going to be trying to compete and beat each other as well. So I'm not too worried. I think we have a really good community on the men's team right now, and women's team too, but we'll keep that going.
And let's face it, in Durango, you're only an hour's drive away from a round of golf at any time of year.
That's right.
All right, let's do 5 questions with you, Darren, before we get you out of here. You heard Brooke roll through them. So she got them cold. You had a little bit of time to think about them. So let's get them knocked off. Ideal tee time. When do you want to rip?
Brooke's pretty smart. I would go 8:30, somewhere in there.
Okay. Outside of current teammates, who do you most want to pair up with in a scramble?
Yeah, also Brooke took mine, so Tiger Woods is the correct answer there.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, are we going to keep this trend going? One club. Which one club are you going to shoot your entire round with?
I think I might go 8-iron just to switch it a little bit, and a little more loft around the greens maybe. But,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. And 7 and 8 all the same as a putter, huh?
That's right, yeah.
All right, and then the other Team Cup reference, that shot, the gosh dang shot that you're going to end up grabbing another ball out of your bag and dropping it and hitting it again, but you just can't help yourself. You're going to keep trying.
Yeah, that's a good question. A few drivable par fours in my mind. Just there's a Pinion Hills down in New Mexico as a drivable par 4 on the back nine. I think it's 13, but it's water left and not good right, so you kind of just hit balls until you hit one good. But hopefully it doesn't take too many, or maybe it's the first one.
I think I might have ran out of balls on the 13th hole down at Pinion Hills. All right, last question, Darren. That shot. What was that shot? Do you remember the shot that keeps you coming back?
I've been lucky. I've hit my fair share of good shots. Excuse me, but I made an albatross in a junior tournament, in an AJGA tournament, and that one might come to mind first. But I just love being out there every day, and I'm lucky to be where I'm at, and I hit plenty of good shots, and so I just enjoy it.
All right. Hey, thanks for joining me, Darren Edwards from the Fort Lewis College Skyhawks men's team. Want to thank also Brooke Sturtevant and Coach Jim Foltz for joining us here today, and remind everybody to come back next week for the Skyhawks Coaches Corner, when we'll be joined by cross-country coaches Joshua Kuntz and Brett Sublette. Look forward to hearing how their fall season went. Thanks to everybody for joining us, and we hope you've enjoyed our initial installment of the Skyhawks Coaches Corner. Look forward to checking back with you all next week.